Welcome to the VerdeVUE Pod, an Austin FC podcast brought to you by KVUE, the ABC station in Austin, Texas. I'm Paul Livingood, senior digital sports producer, and joining us this week we have June, which is Brittany Flowers' adorable little puppy. Say hi, June.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Brittany. How are you doing?
Good.
And then we also have Jake Garcia. Oh my goodness, I can't get over how cute June is. But Jake,
it's almost June's month.
It is. We're getting there.
We're about 2.5 weeks away.
We have to get a little puppy love on the podcast every now and again. Hold on here, but
okay, I'm putting her down so I can hold this mic now. Hopefully
that'll be another one. So for this episode, we're going to talk about Austin FC's latest game. They just lost 2-1 against Sporting KC. After being up 1-0, they dropped to number 14 in the rankings. Everything kind of fell apart after Alex Ring got a red card, and we'll talk about that later. And we'll also be joined by Austin FC goalkeeper Brad Stuver, and we'll talk about his awesomeness and how he made a bunch of big saves early on in the match, and just how everything kind of turned in the second half. But I'll pass it on to Jake and Brittany. What are your thoughts from the match on, I think it was Sunday.
Jake, you want to go first?
Sure. You were just getting ready to, I felt like, spit some fire into the mic, so I was going to leave it to you, but you want me to go first? Yeah, I got it. I'm pretty much going to throw out everything that happened after the Alex Ring red card, because it completely changed the game, and obviously it did when it's 11-on-10. The last 30 minutes of the game, Austin FC was playing a man down. And not only that, but they were playing a man down, and the man who was down was their best player and their most important player, and the captain, the guy who is the glue to this team. So, I don't think that we can really draw any meaningful conclusions from the loss from the last 30 minutes of the game, aside from the fact that, like, Brad Stuver continues to show why he's deserving of being the team's starting goalkeeper. That John Gallagher is deserving of a starting spot. And other than that, like, this team's playing well. They led for 60 plus minutes against a team that many consider to be an MLS playoff team this year. So I think another step in the right direction for Austin FC.
I agree with you. I mean, because they are a new team, every week is a new challenge and something else will pop up. This week it was, hey, how do we play when somebody gets a red card? Which, it being Alex made it. He would be the last person I would think. He goes in hard, but he's very, very smart with his tackles usually. But I thought they played well. It was a really good game. Yeah, the last bit after the red card of playing down was hard. I do wonder if Josh Wolff decided to play defensively too early, because then you're allowing nothing but attack. When he put Julio Cascante in there for Cecilio, then all of a sudden the ball is only staying in right in front of your defense instead of being able to try and go up there. And hindsight's 2020. My thought was, oh man, it's a little bit early for that. So I wondered that. John Gallagher, yeah, heck yeah, finally is it Gallagher or Gallagher? Listen, I looked it up on the website and it said Gallagher, and I've heard it both ways. So we'll have to maybe have
the broadcast was saying Gallagher.
I know, but then other people say Gallagher, so I don't know. I think online it's Gallagher, so we'll have to settle that.
We'll ask him at some point.
Yeah,
I'll go. I normally go by what the online pronunciation guide says, and so if I'm messing it up, which I think I have been doing,
I've said it both ways.
I take ownership. I apologize.
Anyway, yeah, he gets a goal. Jared Stroud, that ball from Jared again, same gorgeous ball.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But there is, John Gallagher and Danny Hosen, they play differently. Danny Hosen's more of a, hey, check two, let's keep the ball and make some moves. So, I think it will depend on the game, on whether or not we're trying to stretch their defense and really take it to them, or if we're trying to more like keep it in the middle. So I don't know. I really could take either one starting. I do wonder who's going to start for Alex Ring, which we'll probably get into in a little bit. So sorry, that was so long. Brad Stuver is my man of the match, followed closely by Tomas Pochettino.
Hey, I feel like we might not get another chance to bring this topic up during this podcast, but it's something that's been weighing on me. And I wanted to kind of piggyback off something you said, Brittany, about the discussion of, did Josh Wolff get too defensive too early, playing down a man? And I think that like is a wonderful debate and conversation and argument to be had. And I don't know how I feel about it, but what I do know is it is healthy and productive for us to have these arguments and for us to disagree about stuff like this. And the reason that I'm bringing this up is because I saw during the match on Twitter, someone say exactly what you just said, Brittany. Like, I would be okay with this loss if we did it while still attacking, but I'm not, because we played defensively, which goes against pretty much everything that Josh Wolff has said he believes in. And so, like, I had no problem with that tweet. But then there was someone else who responded to that tweet and said, like, you know what? Like, these types of tweets are not productive, and they don't help anyone. And it's like, guys, this is a professional sports team. Like, I understand that, like, there is this attitude in the MLS, and I kind of see it sometimes in like the WNBA too, where you have like these super passionate and supportive groups of fans, and they deal with so many like outside forces constantly hating on them. And I'm sympathetic to that. And I understand that, because that is real and it does exist. But I do think like we should differentiate between like the people who are actually hating the sport for no reason at all, and the people who like are so invested in it that they like want to have arguments about it and want to have discussions about it, just like we would be doing if this were the NFL or the NBA. Like, this is what sports are. So I apologize for getting on my soapbox, but like, God, like that's ridiculous. Like, you can't criticize a coach. You can't criticize a team for fear of being like, oh, that's not productive to helping Austin FC like achieve the success within the greater Austin community that they want. Like, that's dumb. That's really dumb.
And I would never be like, oh, Coach Wolff, what a dingus, you know, because he's obviously not. But I would like questioned it. And then I wondered if he questioned it and if he could go back, if he would make that same decision, which I don't know.
And you having those thoughts is not something that would lead Austin FC to like not have as much success with the greater Austin culture. Like that's just you being like a soccer fan and like passionate and invested in this.
I'm an extremely positive person. I'm a big fan of the team. But yeah, that was one I support them through and through.
There you go. Yeah. So, but Jake, you mentioned, or I think Brittany mentioned like the whole defensive posture and everything. But Jake, you were on the media call where Josh Wolff talked about all these things. What was his takeaway from the red card and all of those things that happened to the match?
Yeah. He feels the same way on Wednesday, May 12th, as he did Saturday or Sunday night after the game. And that was, he disagreed with the framing of the call. He didn't necessarily disagree with the ultimate red card itself. The framing of the call was that it was like an overly aggressive move or something like that, which he doesn't buy. But he did feel like if it were framed under the term accumulation, then it makes sense like to call that within the context of everything else that had happened and within the context of Alex Ring already having a yellow card. So that's how he felt. And so I asked him, I was like, is your message to Alex now, because you feel that way, is it, hey, you got to be smarter, you're our team captain, you're our most important player? Or is that a slippery slope? Because if you say that, do you worry about him losing his edge that he plays with? And he said, no, it's more of the first. It's more of, you got to be smarter than that. You got to know the situation and the context of this game and know how important you are to the team, and just be a little bit more creative with your tackles and your attacks on the ball. And I think that's a good thought to have, because I don't think that Alex Ring being told that is going to cause him to lose his edge. Like, he's played soccer for a while. He knows what he's doing.
He's a captain for a reason.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he was in disagreement with the framing of the call, and kind of disappointed that Alex wasn't smarter in that situation. But I mean, you get lost in the moment sometimes. It happens.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So we've had a lot of this talk about yellow cards and red cards and all this stuff. And so that's going to be Brittany's Soccer 101. And she's going to educate the people on, why did Alex Ring get disqualified from the match yesterday? And why did Austin FC have to play with 10 players for the rest of the match? So go ahead.
So, yeah, I think, in Soccer 101, I think I actually even got a phone call from our assistant news director to be like, will you explain this to me? So obviously you see fouls. That's when teams get free kicks. But a yellow card is slightly beyond that and can be seen like as a warning. So like you said, accumulation. If somebody keeps fouling, they can get a card because they're fouling a lot. But then I actually pulled it up because I was like, let me see exactly. Because for me, when I'm watching soccer, as somebody who's played soccer for a long time, I can tell oh, that's a yellow card immediately. But it's kind of hard to explain, and a lot of it is subjective to people. Okay, so it says yellow cards can be given for unsporting behavior, which makes sense.
Which is me every day.
Which is Jake. I would, if I had, you know what we need to do? We need to make cards so I can give you yellow and red cards. If you show dissent, failure to respect the required distance when a play is restarted. Okay. I mean, there's certain things, but then you get a red card when it's a serious foul play. Let's say they have a goal scoring opportunity and you just foul the heck out of somebody, you can get a red card for that. Like if you use your hand, if they take a shot and the keeper's out, you put your hand up and you block a goal, you can get a red card for that. But in this situation, I think people got confused because they were like, wait, he got 2 yellows. Why is he gone now? So if you get 2 yellows, boom, turns into a red, you're gone, your team plays down. And also if you get a red card, you miss the next match. So that's an entirely different conversation.
Good.
Which I'd be more than willing to have right now.
Go for it. Do it. Speaking
of course.
They can't have them anymore for the next game.
Hey, and just to be clear, Brittany, because in football, I think it might only be in college football, could be pros too, but someone gets a targeting penalty in the first half of the game. They're ejected. They can't play the second half, but they are able to come back next week and play. However, if it happens in the second half of the game, they're ejected for the game and they can't play the first half of the next game. No such distinction in soccer, right? If that would have happened in the
first, it's not half by half.
If he would have gotten 2 yellows in the first half, he'd be out the rest of that game and the next game.
Yep, that is correct.
That's excessive.
Which is interesting. Okay, this is the conversation that I had with my husband. In indoor soccer, they have different color. They have a blue card where you sit out, like in hockey, for 2 minutes. It's, you've seen the power plays. They play up a man for that 2 minutes, which it moves a little faster. Maybe it would be different, but it could bring up an interesting thought of should we change the rules of soccer? Or my thought is, I feel like if you get 2 yellows that turn into a red, you don't have to miss the next match. But if you get a straight red, then you miss the next match. I think that maybe would be more appropriate.
That's very fair.
Thank you. I make the rules now.
Yeah, or do it on a half by half basis. I
like the half by half. I don't mind that rule. I like that.
Yeah, because
let's call whoever we need to.
Yeah, I mean, you're already serving your punishment plenty by playing a man down. Like I do feel like it's even more of a punishment than in hockey, because hockey, like, everything's so condensed. Obviously the goals are a lot smaller. It does lead to goal scoring opportunities, but I feel like in soccer, like, that's even more pronounced. The field is so spread out. The goals are obviously bigger. The difference between playing a man down in soccer compared to playing a man down in hockey, I think it favors the team that is not a man down.
Well, and even in hockey, as soon as the team that has the power play, when they score, no matter how early, you get to go back on.
Yeah.
So
yeah, hockey, like, dudes are literally like giving other players concussions and are allowed to come back like 2 minutes later.
Which brings me to my next point. I think we should allow fighting in soccer.
Really?
No, counterpoint. We should ban fighting in hockey.
That's fair.
That's the best part of hockey.
It is kind of entertaining, and I don't know.
Anyway, look, this is the first time that I would say maybe I wouldn't mind a change in the rules. You say it every single week. I think maybe I wouldn't mind a change in the rules, especially if you get yellow, you can still play next.
Just so everyone knows, like, I'm not being like someone who's like, soccer sucks, we need to change the rules, because I love soccer. I'm not a purist by any stretch of the imagination. Like, yeah. I do this for baseball all the time, which is probably my favorite sport. Like, I hate baseball purists. Like, I'm always thinking of like, how can we make this better? So it's not that I don't like respect or appreciate the sport.
Brittany is the complete opposite. She is like, I want traditional soccer the way it was meant to be played.
I just love it. But I would be interested in seeing if people wanted to switch the rules on this thing.
So just
that it affects my team.
Yeah. So to clarify, you were saying that you would be okay with someone getting 2 yellows that turn into a red, like in the first half, and then coming back for the second half. Is that what you were saying?
No, I was saying being able to come back for the next game.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. Although the half thing is pretty interesting.
So, like, that's what I was going to say. Like, say in the first half, if Alex Ring got an accumulation red, would you be okay with playing the rest of the half man down and then letting him come back on at halftime?
No, I don't.
That wouldn't be as long.
I don't think we need that, just because, like, dude, you got 2 yellows in the first half. Like, what are you doing?
That is true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, make him miss the second half at least.
And it's always interesting because to see how many cards they get. It's not like it's extremely easy to get a card. Like, they call fouls all the time, and a foul is a foul. You hit somebody from behind, and there's smart fouls that can be made. So if they're getting a quick turnover, you might just like knock somebody down so that your team can drop back and be prepared. So I don't know, but I don't think it's that easy to get a card. But there are some refs where they're like card happy. Like, you get a card, They're Oprah out there. So I don't know.
We'll have to ask what Brad thinks about cards and stuff like that. So we can do that. So we will let Brad into the chat now. So we're gonna be joined by Austin FC goalkeeper Brad Stuver. We got Austin FC goalkeeper Brad Stuver. Thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So the first thing we want to ask you about is, like, obviously throughout your career, you've kind of had some ups and downs, being behind people or not being the starter. But now on this new team, you have been given the opportunity to be the starting goalkeeper. So just talk about what that means for you and your career.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long road to get here. It's been a grind, but I'm extremely excited for this opportunity. We always say that it takes a little bit of luck and the right timing to find a place where you get a chance to play. And I'm extremely excited that I got an opportunity here. And I just want to keep taking it in stride and help this team win.
Brad, how much do you feel that your confidence has grown in these first 4 games? And has it been a transition from, now you're not so much playing to keep your job and to prove that you're the starter, but you're playing to help this team win games and playing to showcase your style of game?
Yeah, I think as a group, you can kind of see that we've kind of gotten more comfortable with each other. And I think you're going to see that throughout the year this year. I mean, this is a brand new group. We've only been together for 3 months. For our first game, we were only together for 7 weeks, 6 weeks. So I think with every game that we play, you can see everyone getting more comfortable, growing, learning how we want to play, all that. As for myself, I've been in the league a while. So every chance I get, I try not to think about, oh, is this the last game that I'm going to play? I just have the mindset of every time I'm out there, just go out and do what I can and do my best and help the team in any way that I can.
Okay, so in the first game, you made a great save in the first 20, 30 seconds. And obviously in this last game, you were just making crazy saves over and over and over again. Do you prefer that? Do you get more, not that you would get nervous because you're at the highest level of soccer, but do you prefer getting tested right away, or are you comfortable being okay, good job team, go up there?
So we still get nervous. Everyone gets nervous. That doesn't go away. We always say that if you're not nervous, you don't truly love what you're doing. And that's when it's time to retire. No, but I think my parents would say that they want me to get a save early because it centers me and gets me going in the game. But for me, I'd rather go an entire game without touching the ball. That would be great. That means that what's going on in front of me is doing everything perfect. But no, it's been good. The guys have done a really good job of limiting the chances and making them savable. So credit to them for helping make my job a little bit easier.
I mean, but I will say, you say that you wouldn't want to touch the ball, but you're a major part of working the ball up. Your passes are extremely accurate. Have they always been this way? You don't always get that from a keeper.
No. So I've had the benefit of being in this system for my entire career. I mean, I started in Columbus in Berhalter's system where Josh was the assistant coach. And then I moved on to NYC, who plays the CFG style of play. So for my entire career, I've had to get extremely comfortable with my feet. And 8 years of doing it. And now I'm on the field just kind of showing what I've been doing in training for 8 years.
So going back to the early side, do you feel a sense that you get more locked in when you make a big save like that, or how does that work in the mindset standpoint?
I would say it definitely shocks you. It's almost like getting punched in the face. You kind of wake up and you're oh wow, okay, we're already in it. But like I said, the guys in front of me have limited the chances, pushed them to wider areas. And I mean, outside of the last game, I think Beasler and I were talking a little bit today, and during the game, it didn't feel like we were under that much pressure. And then when we watch it back and we look at the stats, we were oh, wow, okay, we actually were under a significant amount of pressure, and the saves were a little bit more difficult that game.
Yeah, I saw there was, safe to say, there was a couple of times they're saying that you were getting peppered a couple of times, and I was okay, that's a little much. But so to address the pressure that you guys got, obviously the pressure started coming whenever you guys went a man down. Obviously, it's harder to play with 10 players than 11. So can you just from a goalkeeper standpoint, how does that change the way defensively you approach the other team and everything like that?
Well, I mean, KC is a difficult team to play against when we're at full strength. I think you saw in the first half they got a lot of chances in that first half as well. So that game was going to be difficult even without going down a man. Mm-hmm. But once you lose that player, you kind of shell up a little bit. Everyone kind of turns off. You don't really want to start playing out of the back because you're a man down. And then you just kind of go into this defensive posture where you're just kind of absorbing attacks. And for about 15 to 20 minutes, we did a really good job of absorbing everything. And then just in the final 10 minutes plus extra time, things just kind of broke. And at some point, when you can't sustain any possession, when you can't get anything going on the other end, things are going to break. And like I said, KC are a good team when you're full. And then they made a lot of subs and went to 3 in the back and started throwing guys forward. So it's a good test for us. It was good learning experience. I'm glad that we do it early on in this season. We see the resilience in our squad. We we go up against something that we haven't trained before, and to see guys respond, it's a good thing. But hopefully we don't have to do that too many more times this year.
Yeah. I mean, that does kind of speak to the sense of being battle tested, and how that would play on later in the season if you ever, God forbid, get put in that situation again. So what, I guess, taking a loss like that where, things didn't happen the way you wanted to, how do you take that and turn it into a positive and change it to a bounce back mentality more than like a feel sorry for me kind of thing?
I think this entire group has the mentality of we're going to take this one game at a time and we're going to learn as much as possible from each game. When you get a shutout, you learn a lot about the team. When you lose, you learn about the team. You look at our 2-0 loss against LAFC, we were all disappointed because we thought that we could have gotten more from that game. And then we go into Colorado, we go down 1-0 in the first half, and you can go one of two ways with that. You can go, okay, here we go again, we're losing at halftime. Or you can say, you know what, this is our time to bounce back. And then in the second half against Colorado, we come out with 3 goals and we get our first win. And then we carry that momentum into Minnesota. And to be fair, in Kansas City, we were up 1-0 at halftime. We were doing pretty well. We were battling, and the red card just changes a little bit. So we're going to take the positives away. We're going to learn from the negatives. And I think for every game going forward, we're just going to think next game. Not 2 games in advance, not 3 games. We're just going to focus on the next task at hand.
Brad, transitioning to some off the field stuff. I know at every stop in your professional soccer career, you've made it a point to become really engaged with the community. And of course, we've seen that you've continued the Laundry Project initiative here in Austin. For the people who haven't heard about that, don't know what it is, can you explain what the mission is and who you're working with here in Austin to make that a reality?
Yeah, so the Laundry Project is a branch of Engage Current. That's like the umbrella 501c3 nonprofit. But my wife, Ashley, and I have been doing laundry projects. We started in Columbus because one of our friends lived there and works with Laundry Project and brought it to us. We took it to the NYC, we took it to the Bronx with us, and now we're hoping to do it here in Austin. Basically, we fundraise money, and then we go into a public laundromat in an underserved community, and for 3-4 hours, however much money we raised, anybody that walks through the door, we will supply them with laundry detergent, fabric softener, dryer sheets, and we'll pay for the washer and dryer services for those 3 to 4 hours until we run out of money that we fundraised. And for us, it's just a way to give back to the community that gives us so much. Right now, we're talking with the Engage Current CEO, and we're trying to set some dates up, hopefully later in the summer, and then another one in the fall. We're scouting out some areas. There's a local nonprofit called Laundry Love that actually does something very similar. And I actually went out to one of their projects in South Austin 2 weeks ago just to see like the community that they were helping, how they did things, trying to learn a little bit from them about how the Austin scene works. So I'm very grateful for them for having me out, and hopefully we can bring more laundry projects here in the near future.
Why this specific cause? Why is it something that resonated with you?
So we first got started just because it was a friend of ours that brought it to our attention. We didn't really overthink it. It wasn't something that we had been like, oh, this is something that means something to us. But after we did a couple projects and we talked to the folks that come in and need those services, we really learned how much a privilege it is to have laundry services. To have that in your home and to be able to have clean clothes is a luxury. It's not just normal, it's a luxury. And when you talk to families who have to budget their monthly income, and sometimes laundry gets left off the list because they have to fill up their car or they have to go grocery shopping, it really hits home that you really want to help people as much as possible just have clean clothes, because clean clothes can make you feel better going to school. It can make all the difference in a job interview. All of these little things that you don't really think about on the day-to-day. It really resonated with us, and it made us want to continue doing it as much as possible.
Is there a way that people can help support you on?
Yeah. So they're on their website. They're doing like a 50 for 50 campaign. They're trying to raise $50,000 for 50 projects to do this year across the country. I think if I don't have the donation link, it should be on my Instagram or my Twitter. It'll be on either one, but I have it up there in my bio. You can go there and you can donate as well and learn more about the cause. I
love it. Okay, Brad, this isn't the first time we've seen you in some NWSL gear. You wore an NWSL sweatshirt the first time you got a tour of the stadium, right? Of Q2?
Yep.
So talk to me about you kind of showing some love to the NWSL. How do we get a team here?
That might be above my pay grade, but I will support it in any way that I can. I think the biggest way to get NWSL to grow is representation and eyes. I think you see the Challenge Cup had some of the best numbers viewership wise all weekend. I mean, they topped the majority of the MLS games. So I was upset because I root for Gotham. So I was a little bummed that they lost in PKs, but it's all about representation, and it's all about getting people to support. You can see how many investors are investing in new teams. I think it's just Austin is a soccer city. We brought MLS here. I think it's only a matter of time before we bring NWSL here. And I'm all for it. I want to help in any way I can. And right now that's just being a supporter.
I think that's really important to point out. Will you talk about the importance of like having, especially people who are part of men's professional soccer, show that support? Will you talk about why that's so important?
Yeah. I mean, so for MLS, we're 25, 26 years into our league. NWSL is 10, I believe, into their league. So I've been a part of the MLS Players Association for a number of years. And every time we go through CBA negotiations, we're trying to push our league forward. We're trying to get more dollars. We're trying to get more investors. We're trying to get more teams. We're trying to get better TV deals. And I think NWSL is trying to do the exact same thing, but we want to help them do it faster. And I think there's a growing market for them that wasn't there for MLS in the early years. You can see the success of the U.S. women's national team. You can see like their friendlies get sold out, merchandise flies off the shelves, viewership is through the roof. You see the NWSL Challenge Cup breaking viewership, all of this. Their new deal with Paramount Plus to watch games. All of that is happening so much quicker than it did for MLS. And I think right now it's important just for not only like male athletes, but just everybody to recognize that in order for the women's game to progress, you need to put as much emphasis into that as you do the men's game. And yes, we're years down the line, but they can grow at a faster rate than we can just because of the amount of support that they have.
Wait, one more women's soccer question. Were you, what was the emotion when you all found out that the U.S. women's national team would be playing a couple days before you all at Q2?
Yeah, I mean, we're excited to have them come to Austin. Like I said, Austin has shown that they are a soccer city, and we're excited to host them. We're excited to have them here at St. David's. We're excited for them to play at Q2. Hopefully the atmosphere for their game is just as rowdy as it will be for our home opener 3 days later with San Jose. I know a bunch of us are trying to get tickets to go, so it'll be a good time.
Good luck with that.
I was going to say, hopefully we have like an inside track.
Yeah, you're telling me there's not an in for you guys? I feel like you guys should be on some VIP list.
I mean, I'm talking to Aaron Schoenfeld. His wife is on the team, so I'm trying to go as his +1. You know,
I'm sure Abby, she could help. Come on,
family. Just like I'm Aaron's +1 for the day. So,
oh my goodness, go ahead. You can just start your rapid fire, Brittany.
Okay, Brad. We've done this before. We know your go-to karaoke song. You want to sing it this time?
Nope.
Ready? We know your go-to dance move. Do you want to do it this time?
Nope.
All right. Then we'll get into our other rapid fire. Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay, question number 1. What is your favorite condiment?
Ranch?
Yeah, we were just talking about that. It's a condiment. Okay, who's the funniest person on the team?
Ooh. Rodney Radis.
Interesting. Diego
Wow,
said the
2
same
out of
thing.
2. 2 out of 2. Okay.
He's a jokester.
Would you rather be able to speak every language in the world or speak to animals?
Every language in the world.
Okay.
Great answer. Love that answer.
I agree. What superpower do you wish you had?
Invisibility?
Ooh, that's a good one. Be a really good one as a keeper. Okay. What is the best dessert?
Chocolate chip cookie.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. If there's a spider in your house, do you kill it or do you let it free?
Depends on how big it is.
Wait, okay, so do you kill the small ones and let the big ones go? Or
no,
opposite?
I let the small. No, yeah, other way around. If it's too big, I'm not. It's getting killed.
I appreciate the nuance in this answer, though. Counterpoint: if you try and kill the big one and fail, then like that might lead to some problems down the road.
I'm getting a hotel for the night, so.
Goodbye. I'm moving out. What's your favorite movie?
Probably Harry Potter's trilogy, whatever sequence. I don't know what to call it.
Which one's the best one?
Which movie or which book?
Okay, save that. Yeah, both. The movie and the book.
Best book, probably Goblet of Fire. Best movie, Prisoner of Azkaban.
Interesting.
In-N-Out or Whataburger?
Yeah. Sorry. In-N-Out.
Don't be sorry. Jake loves it.
2 for 2.
My bad.
Nothing to be sorry about.
No, Whataburger's like a big Texas staple, so.
You're going to get kicked out of the state, just like Jake. Can you spell the word rendezvous?
Rendezvous? RENDEVOUS?
There's a
So
Z.
close.
There's a Z you're missing.
in there.
There's a Z?
It's spelled Rendezvous.
Oh.
Rendezvous.
EZVOUS.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But valiant effort. Valiant.
Do you want to give us another all right?
No, you already got that, right?
Yes. And do you really don't you think that Danny's was the best one?
Pereira?
Yes.
No.
I
can't let Danny win in anything.
I'm telling you, his was the best one. His was the best.
Better than Beasler?
I didn't get to talk to Beasler. If we ever get to talk to him, I'll have him do it.
He had that whole like intro video when he
did,
got signed.
Actually, there's tape of it. I've seen it. Yeah.
I need it to my face via Zoom, or else it doesn't count. Danny's number one. One thing that I want you guys to know about Brad, and this is the strangest thing about him potentially that I've learned. He switches his socks. Will you tell them that? It's weird.
Yeah. So my training socks and my match socks, they have like the R and the L on them to tell you what foot you need to wear your sock on. And I switch them. So I wear my R on my left foot and my L on my right foot.
I'm telling you, every time you play, I can't not think about it, Brad.
I feel like I need to take a picture and just post it on social media.
There you go.
Please, will you?
Is there a rhyme or reason why you do that?
I have no idea. I don't know when it started. I don't know how it started. I just know that if I don't do it, it feels weird.
Brad's just anti-authority. He will not have stock manufacturers tell him which foot to put them on.
Oh my God.
That's what it is. I'm not kidding. I think about it every time. I'm like, oh, there he is with his switch. It's working. Hey, here's a question. Do you do a lot of yoga? Like you were really stretching there. You're flexible.
No, my wife is a yoga instructor and I still don't do yoga. She makes fun of me because I can't touch my toes, but I can come up with things like that. Yeah, crazy.
Wow.
That's wild.
Just imagine how much better you'd be at soccer if you took some yoga classes from your wife.
I like being tight. I feel like I'm quicker.
Is it you're coiled up like a spring so you can jump
exactly.
further?
If I get too loose, I'm gonna be slow. That's my mentality. That's why I don't stretch ever.
Did you say you don't stretch ever?
No, I stretch. I was
old. Like, you're 30. You need to stretch.
See, you called me old.
I'm 30. Goodness. I'm stretching. I'm stretching when I don't do anything. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's not an answer I would ever expect from a professional athlete. But now I kind of feel justified because, as a not flexible person who's also not a professional athlete, we have something in common.
Hey, just telling you the truth.
Oh my goodness.
I'm very tight.
Do you have any more of your pop culture questions, Brittany?
That's all that I had written down.
Okay, cool.
He's answered many before.
Yeah. So I'm curious about this Harry Potter thing. So I want to revisit that. So you're avid Harry Potter, you did the whole read every book, did all that stuff.
Yeah, I grew up on it.
Are you one or the most people pro book, pro movie? Which one's better? People are
the books are definitely better.
Okay.
But I do like the movies. I even got it's the Deathly Hallows with quotes.
Oh, okay.
Wait, what house are you?
Gryffindor. Come on.
Of course. Of course you're Gryffindor.
Do you do those little Harry Potter aptitude tests that they have online?
Depends if I'm bored or not. But yes, okay. I've taken them before.
Okay.
The ones
I would imagine you got Gryffindor when you did the little thing.
I also had the Harry Potter game that was on the phone for a while, but I was playing it too much. So I had to delete it. My battery was draining.
Hey, I have a soccer question.
Yeah, go for it.
Obviously we saw cards this past weekend. We saw a couple of cards. Do you think that they should make it instead so that people have to sit out for 2 minutes like hockey or indoor soccer and then just make people play down for 2 minutes?
No, that's just changing the entire rules of the game.
Yeah, listen, we talk about changing the rules every single week.
That's a hot topic on this podcast, is changing the rules of soccer.
Yeah, do you know what? Jake wants to get rid of offside.
Just explaining offside is the most difficult part of being a soccer player. My wife still has no idea what offside is. We've been together for 10 years and she still couldn't tell you what offside is. I watch games, I'm like, oh, that's off. She was like, how do you know? Tell me. How do you know? I was like, I just do. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I had to explain it the first week. We do soccer 101. And so I had to explain it the first week. And it's not easy without a whiteboard. This person, and then they kick the ball.
Yeah, I try and put it in football terms that the line of scrimmage is the offside line, but that line of scrimmage is always moving. And the hike is when it's offside, and that's when the player kicks the ball. But then you're doing two sports at once, and
as a former high school soccer player who got called for offsides a lot, I think that's just the old me wanting some excuses and some validation for the fact that I was not actually abiding by the rules. But
I feel you can get a 2-yard grace period, right? If it's within 2 yards, maybe just give it to the attacker.
Yeah, I think so. Because the spirit of the rule.
Keeper, you're saying this?
Yeah, that's interesting. But the spirit of the rule is designed to prevent against cherry picking. It's not so much you were off by half an inch.
At least we're not the EPL and we're going to VAR and you see
by a toenail,
half a millimeter of space on the line. They zoom in on a camera and they're like, oh yeah, this part of his shoe is offside. So yeah, he's off.
That was the soccer 101 last week.
Yeah, it was. VAR was.
And Jake was, I'm afraid you played devil's advocate again.
I'm just difficult. That's it.
We know. Know who's not difficult? Brad Stuver.
Yeah. I don't know about that.
Thank you. This is my third interview with Brad, y'all. We're pretty much friends now.
Y'all are besties?
Yeah. I know about his sock routine.
So. Yeah. Not many people knew about that before you, so.
And now I tell everybody because I'm like, hey, you guys got to see how weird this guy is.
Now everyone knows the secret, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brittany's here to ask all the hard-hitting questions. So, hey, man, we appreciate you coming on the VerdeVUE Pod. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
Thanks, Brad. See you soon.
Yep, see ya.
All right, we appreciate Brad Stuver joining us. And so now looking forward to the upcoming week, Austin FC is going to play LA Galaxy, who is 3-1. They've beaten Inter Miami, New York Red Bulls. They lost to Seattle 3-0, and they just beat the only common opponent between the two teams. They just beat LAFC, and so they beat them 2-1. Austin obviously had their inaugural match against them in LA and lost 2-0. And so what to know about LA Galaxy? Brittany, there's one dude. Who is it?
Chicharito. Man. 5 goals in the first 2 games. You said he's had 6 goals in 4 games?
In 4, yeah.
That man can go. Brad's going to be busy. He's going to be busy. He's going to have to work on that flexibility.
It might be, hopefully, I don't know. I don't know if I want him to have another first 30 seconds in LA, having to make a save. And then,
but we do. He does. He says parents do.
Yeah, his parents do, apparently. But
he also said it'd be fine not touching the ball.
He did, yeah. Not like
that's true.
Just like let everyone else have
I don't think that will happen this week. I think he'll probably touch it maybe once. Couple times.
3 times a lady.
Yeah.
Let's hope it's him touching it, not picking it up from the back of the net.
Yeah. So they have their one guy, and we're going to be missing one of our key players, Alex Ring, obviously because he's suspended with the red card of the last game. And Jake, you said that Coach Wolff addressed that in the press conference that you had with him.
Yeah. So I think the two prevailing thoughts are that either he does a straight swap for Alex Ring with either Danny Pereira or Sebastian Berhalter, or goes to a 4-3-3-1 formation. I don't think the change in formation is likely because I do think that maybe Josh was kicking himself for playing defensive so early. So I don't think that he would necessarily want to start a game more defensive than he's used to, or that is the core of his coaching philosophy. So I think the chances are we see either Pereira or Berhalter get the start in place of Alex Ring. Who that is, I think kind of is going to depend on how healthy Danny Pereira's foot is. Wolff said that he was just super impressed by how he was playing in his first 2 games, but then felt like they had to ease off because he was dealing with kind of like a nagging foot injury. So if he's healthy, I think it's Pereira. If he's not, I also think that Wolff is comfortable putting Berhalter in there just because Berhalter's a guy who's played in his system for 8 years and knows what the requirements are of that position, is well-versed with Wolff and what he's trying to accomplish there. So let's be honest, neither of them are Alex Ring. And I don't think the expectation should be for either of them to fill his void. But I mean, it's not as if they're nobody. So either way, I think it'll be good experience for one of them.
Yeah, I mean, Danny got a yellow as well this past weekend. I'm fairly certain he gets in there. Yeah. Hopefully he can, he may be young, but hopefully he can kind of keep his head and play smart. I will say, I think that Tomas really stepped up defensively this past week, and he's going to have to do the same. I mean, he was tracking back, making great plays, making great stops defensively. I mean, obviously we know what he can do on the offense. Just has to be just a tiny bit lower so it doesn't hit off the bar. But yeah, I mean, I think that he's going to probably step up big time this week to help out, missing Alex Ring.
To that point, real quick, you got any other players that you said in their last players to watch? You mentioned Gallagher, and lo and behold, he scores the opening goal. Who are you looking out for this time around, Jake?
Oh, was it me who said Gallagher last time?
I think so. Or am I mistaken? Was it Brittany?
It wasn't me.
I think it's just it's hard. It's hard sometimes when the takes are so accurate that they kind of start piling up.
Oh my gosh.
Yellow
Go
card.
away.
Yellow card.
Yellow card. No, that's 2 yellows. That's a red. You're gone. Get out. You don't get to come back next week either.
No podcast.
Unless we're switching the rules. We could switch the rules.
We could switch the rules. I mean, but would you want that though? Because I mean, that's like Austin FC playing without Alex Ring.
Yeah, I think we can handle it. We'll find somebody to replace you.
Jake's ego is up there right now. Jeez.
It's not. It's just.
No,
We're just having fun here.
It's all fun and games. Okay.
Well, it sucks because like I agree with Brittany. So I'll let her have the correct take this week in that like Tomas Pochettino, like we've sung his praises offensively, but he showed that he could be more than just an offensive player last week. His efforts honestly like kind of kept Austin FC in the game a little bit on the defensive side. So he'll be a guy I'm watching out for. I love watching Jared Stroud just pass the ball too. Like that guy's the LeBron James of facilitating. He makes passes that some players like don't even think to make. And then like to execute them is obviously an entirely different thing. So yeah, that's all I got, I think.
Yeah, I think
I agree.
Yep. My real quick one is before we wrap it up, because Jake's got to swing it out of here. Jared Stroud is mine that I'm looking out for. That guy is 3 weeks in a row, just dishing balls into the box. And, I want to say he had both the assists on each of Diego's goals. And then obviously this last one. So that'll do it for it.
He did. Week. You're correct.
Yeah. So, I mean, Jared Stroud he's on it. I tweeted something that I don't know if it hit because they call assist apples in lacrosse, and that's what I played. And so I said I made like a reference to the Treaty Oaks, and he's picking the apples from the Treaty Oaks or something. So it was a bad tweet, honestly. But that'll. No,
I think let me just help you out here. I think the intent was there.
Yeah,
it was a great thought. Unfortunately, this isn't a lacrosse market. So maybe it just kind of went over some people's heads. I didn't know that assists in lacrosse were called apples. It's good to know.
Yeah.
I didn't know that at all.
You learned something.
I love apples. I make a good apple pie too.
I think it's a great metaphor too with the oak tree. Like that's good stuff right there. So get them next time, player.
Next time, champ. For all of your Austin FC content, you can get it at KVUE.com/AustinFC, or you can watch this VerdeVUE Pod where we talk about apples. So these episodes drop every Friday. Catch y'all next time.